Hi Capricorn, welcome to The Modern Spiritualist. My name is Raheem. We're going to look at May for Capricorn. You can use this for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, Rising, or North Node, or any placement that you care about, really. It's pretty loose and light. Sorry for being a little bit later than usual. I've just been super busy, so some things got pushed back. Thank you for your patience, and we'll get started. I'm using Thoth today for your Celtic Cross spread, plus a Threads of Fate Oracle energy for your Catalyst. Your Catalyst serves as the highest alignment possible in terms of this spread. So if you get lost in process throughout the month and you just need something to anchor you, you can always refer back to the Catalyst energy to remind you what's going on. We'll start there. I pulled the Seeker reversed. A lot of reversals in this deck, so it's a very kind of internal month, it seems, for you, Capricorn. And what I'm getting loud and clear is just stop seeking. Stop seeking and be here now. This is common with Capricorn. There's, kind of a, regardless of how influenced you are by kind of the collective capitalist fray or whatever, there's still this aspect of Capricorn that whatever they are pursuing, it's kind of just this endless pursuit, right? And it's because Capricorn's an achiever by nature. And so whatever holds Capricorn's interest, and it's not necessarily career oriented, but whatever holds Capricorn's interest gets Capricorn's full attention. And so, I just keep getting this image of just continuously climbing the mountain and, not stopping for breath, not stopping for air, not stopping to check your progress and see how far you've come, not stopping to have a conversation with the river, to smell the roses, to watch the birds fly above, to take a nap, to check on your supplies, all those things that you kind of need to do for your own health and safety on your journey. That's the first thing that's coming through. If we just continue to endlessly seek and we never stop to notice what's there, maybe we miss what we were seeking, There's something else that's dropping in. So what I'm feeling is whatever it is that you're seeking, you already have it. And it's really just about getting off the hamster wheel. And it feels like it really is just like a mindset shift. Like, because you already have what you're seeking, it's not about needing to make some huge adjustment or take any action. It's about remembering, oh yes, I already have it. I don't need to keep seeking. There's I think I've said this to Capricorn before in these readings, maybe another sign, but there's this old Eastern adage. I think it's from Zen Buddhism, but I could be wrong. It's just somewhere in that area, and in those kinds of beliefs, it may be even older. Anyway, the adage basically goes, hey, you're already on top of the mountain, you just need to open your eyes. You're already on top of the mountain, you just need to open your eyes. And for me as a Capricorn personally, that is something I say to myself every day, to remind myself, you don't need to keep climbing. You need to just kind of radiate and bask in your own natural excellence because you've already made it. I'm here alive in this body, right? So there's this feeling of like, I'm already doing what I need to do. I've done enough. I'm doing enough. I am enough, right? And so I think that's a shift that needs to happen. It really does feel like kind of like not doing enough is like the big thing, but it is all kind of around a self-worth issue. I am kind of feeling some addictive or avoidant behaviors kind of on the fringes, which is, common for many people. So I'm not saying that you're off course with, just humanity in general. We all kind of have these things we have to look at, and I think we tend to excuse ourselves if it's not extreme. Like there's this tendency to not call yourself an addict if you're not addicted to crack. You know what I mean? Whereas you could be addicted to a negative thought pattern. You could be addicted to social media only to the point that it barely affects your life. And so it's like you're not really, seeing what could be on the other side of that if you didn't have that behavior, right? Which is something I've struggled with historically. You could have an avoidant behavior. Actually, sticking with the social media thing, I actually had a little epiphany with myself yesterday when I'm trying to change up my evening routines because it's really hard for me to unwind and relax. But at that point, I'm too tired to work also, and so that's kind of when I go to social media because it's like the mindless thing to do. Um, Last night, instead, I asked myself, what would I do right now if I've already done enough? And the answer that I received from my body was, let's go outside, let's go to the park, right? And in that, what I realized was my body wasn't exhausted, my mind was. My body actually needed something, needed to remove stagnation, needed to get things going. And my mind just needed a break, which social media wouldn't have fixed. It would have made it worse, right? And so I kind of saw the way that I was kind of hamster wheeling and then also not taking care of my needs on the embodiment level, right? So just things like that to look out for. And I didn't, it didn't occur to me until I asked myself that question, what would I do now if I'd already done enough? That this whole time when I was kind of doing this hamster wheel thing with social media, that the undercurrent of that was just feeling like I hadn't done enough, fighting with myself, and then avoiding the question altogether. So it was an avoidant pattern. So, what are you avoiding? What are you kind of compulsively moving towards instead? Like, what's the addictive pattern? And it really could just be, maybe it's not even an activity, maybe it's a thought, maybe there's an addictive pattern of thinking, of comparing yourself to others and judging yourself as less than, or anything that kind of prevents you from being on top of the mountain and being this big, radiant, worthy being that you are. Okay, so stop seeking. You already have what you need. Moving into the Celtic Cross spread, at the center we have the Priestess reversed. Be the High Priestess in a classic deck. So this is about going, inside yourself for answers instead of outside yourself for answers. So it's very on par with this. What I like about these two reversals is, while stop seeking was kind of the forefront of my mind, this could also be, seen as you're seeking inside yourself instead of outside yourself. And the reversal is just that internal process. And that's what I'm also feeling too, is that if there's anything for you to be seeking, it is within you. So look inside and see, what is really needed, because sometimes what we really need and what we're doing, what we think we're doing to achieve that need is not the same thing. And that's what can cause addictive patterns too, because we're trying to fix something, but we're using the wrong tool. And if we don't kind of actively know, if we're not exploring deep enough, if we don't know that this is the wrong tool, we'll keep using it to try to achieve that thing that we can't achieve with that tool. So what's a good example of that? Because that's another thing that came up for me recently. I was telling another sign too. Something about, like let's say the addiction is coffee. And I'm not saying that any of these things are inherently addictive if you're using them appropriately. Addiction is just when we start to, compulsively kind of become slaves to these things in order to avoid other things. If there's nothing you're avoiding, if you're just indulging, that's different. Anyway, so let's say that the addiction is coffee, too much coffee. Let's say 6 cups a day, right? And this is an example from my life previously, just a couple of years ago. There was this caffeine addiction, right? And I needed the caffeine to keep my energy levels up because I was really depleted. And what I realized underneath all that was what I actually wanted from the caffeine was that heightened sense of energy and arousal and adrenaline. And I wasn't really, or really that the cortisol spike, the adrenaline spike that coffee gives you, that like caffeine spike, was kind of just like a fake substitute for what I really wanted, which was true inspiration that I feel when I sing. So I wasn't singing at that time, and I love to sing, and I was drinking a lot of coffee to try to compensate for not singing, because that's what I actually needed. So then when I started singing again, I realized I didn't need as much coffee because I was getting the actual hit that I needed instead of like the fake plastic adrenaline hit. It was like true inspiration rather than just fake energy, right? And so it could be something like that, where there's just a need that needs to be met. And on the surface, you're trying to meet that need, And it's a bottomless pit because whatever you're using to meet that need isn't the real need, or isn't the real solution to your need. So if your need is, singing, and you're not singing and you're drinking a bunch of coffee instead, that's kind of what you have to look at. My point being that you need to go inside yourself for the answer. You're not going to be able to know on the surface because the surface of things is just habitual, right? You need to go beneath your habits. You need to go beyond your habits, deep inside yourself, to ask yourself, okay, why do I do this thing? What is actually needed instead? And in this way, you can just start to balance out your life and monitor things from a place of less excess, right? Yeah, because there's just something about the dynamic balance is off, and it'll vary according to you how off. Maybe you just need to make a small adjustment. Maybe you're far out of balance, and that will depend on you, right, on an individual basis. But something needs to change. Something needs to be shifted. Some sort of habit or choice or repetitive lifestyle thing, and it needs to change because it's not working, and it's not working because you're using it to seek something that you already have. It's just a need that needs to be met, that you can meet it once you know what the need is. Okay, something as simple as singing or whatever, So that's on the docket here. In the upright, this would be saying. You don't have all the information yet, so you have to wait. In the reversal, it's saying the opposite. It's saying spirit has been screaming this at you and you have not been listening. Everything's kind of surfacing. Maybe triggers are out in the open. You can just see yourself on a heightened plane, right? Things are very, very clear to you. Everything's very, very clear. And so I think it's getting to a point where you can't really ignore this anymore. You can't ignore the fact that you're chasing this thing that you already have, because it's so plain to you and it needs your help. There's a wounded child part here that has a need that you need to meet, okay? And it seems like it will be simple. It's really just a matter of making the code switch, making the mindset switch, which is hard with habitual things, especially for Capricorns, because they like routine, right? So to break that habit, you have to make a really conscious choice. And so I would just recommend that you take a day, right? You take a day to kind of pause, reflect, get out of your normal routine. Maybe you have to go somewhere else, like change locations in order to do that. Sometimes we just have to leave our environment to make new choices. And so, if you go on a nature walk or something and just ask yourself what you really need, I think the answer will become clear to you. Okay, crossing that card, we have the 3 of Wands. This is about waiting for something to come in. And it looks like you can give it to yourself. So the seeking, right? The seeking, this waiting, this kind of going through life through your kind of habitual motions, right? Is kind of creating this trap for yourself. It's like you're waiting for something to come through. You're looking for that thing. You already have it in the form of an unmet need inside you. And these are all kind of keeping you stuck. These are all kind of keeping you in a paralyzed place. So really big effect on your life in terms of, full-blown paralysis, stuck in a pattern, can't get out. But really simple adjustment in terms of once you find out the need and meet it, the whole mechanism that is trapping you here is going to break apart. Okay, so really simple solution, actually. And then no more waiting, right? Because you don't have to wait for anything. You just need to give it to yourself. Okay. Past affecting the present, we have the Magus reversed. This is a time in which nothing was going right in your life. Everything that you wanted didn't come to pass. Probably more waiting games. This could be starting projects, like getting projects off the ground, and then projects failing halfway through, either because you lost interest or other people got in the way or just something didn't come through. This could even be like real disasters or obstacles in your path, like major car accidents, deaths in the family. This is like really, really major, obscure roadblocks being thrown in your way and just kind of feeling like you're really out of control. Yeah, that's the big thing. This is a moment in your past where you felt really, really out of control. And this habitual seeking, whatever the habit is that you're doing to kind of seek that which you already have, it kind of came out of this feeling like you're out of control and then doing something to help you feel like you're in control. Could be some sort of like repetitive task, maybe that doesn't really do much other than occupy your space so you can cope, with this thing that's missing or whatever. So yeah, this could be a time of loss or, chaotic parenting, chaotic childhood. If you moved around a lot and never quite made friends wherever you were because you ended up moving again, military kids or things like that. This is what's coming up. This feeling of being out of control. And so what I want to remind you here is that you're an adult in total control of yourself. If you were out of control in the past, it's because there were other factors at play here. This is probably childhood. So you'll need to go inside yourself with the priestess energy. You'll need to go inside yourself and figure out who in me feels like they're out of control, like they have no control over their own lives, and what do they need to feel safe. And I think that's going to help you get your answer here. Because you're an adult, you're in total control of your life. This will just keep repeating itself only because there are wounded parts within you that keep repeating the pattern to get you to pay attention to them. And so that's the thing about manifestation is that, often we manifest things that we don't like, and that's because on the subconscious and unconscious level, we have wounded patterns continuing to manifest the same wounding. That's how we get trapped in a pattern, right? So to manifest something different, you're going to have to heal that child, the source of this feeling of being out of control, and give that child the love and the safety and the stability that child needs to be able to come into their wholeness, so that you can kind of get out of that wounded child pattern and step into your adulthood in a new way. So that's what this card's trying to get you to do. You don't need something else to fulfill a need for you. You need to give it to yourself because you're the adult, ultimately. Okay, in your foundation, we have the Prince of Wands. You got stuff going on. You got stuff to do, stuff you're passionate about, and it's driving you this month. And so you can rely on that. The only, caveat that I would say with the Prince of Wands, and it did come out in direct, so it's coming out like a pretty clean energy, is that this Prince of Wands can also kind of get stuck in this seeker thing where they're just going and going and going and they don't stop. This is a Leo energy. So it's fixed fire. It's like just kind of keeping, and that's, a really good sense of focus if you're focused on the right thing, right? If you're focused on the wrong thing, it's just tunnel vision down the wrong path, right? Now you've fallen into a rabbit hole. If you focus on the right thing, then the expansion happens, right? And so this being in your foundation is just encouraging you to focus on the things that really do have heart and meaning for you, that really do inspire you, that make you feel good and passionate about yourself. That make you feel like you have a good sense of authority and that you know what you're doing. So whatever it is in your life that really does support you, that really does give you a good sense of self-esteem, that really supports you in a healthy way, make sure that you're throwing yourself into those activities, and make sure that you're redirecting yourself into those activities if you get lost in another thing, right? In this kind of compulsive, addictive seeking pattern that I'm picking up on. So if you can just redirect the focus, redirect the fixed energy, the fixed fire, right, to that which really has heart and meaning for you, you'll be able to kind of come out of this pattern a little more, especially if you know what this pattern is really about, right? And something else dropped in that I lost as soon as it came in. Let's see if it comes back. Patterns of addiction, especially addiction to intensity, are actually being out of relationship with fire, like not having fire in dynamic balance within you. So you can also communicate with the fire, I think, this month, especially since it's supporting you. If you talk to helping spirits, if you talk to elements, if you, or even if you don't and you would like to try, you can just talk to the fire within you on a walk, or you can even light a fire and sit by the fire and even if it's a candle, and just ask that fire to be there with you in its most sacred form, and if it has a message for you, so that you can improve your relationship with fire. Because this is Three of Wands, right? This is the waiting, just the continual waiting for something to happen and things never happening. Three of Wands is a fire energy too. So I am feeling like fire is kind of out of balance, but it's trying to find its balance within you, and you can continue to kind of push that work forward by consciously interacting with fire, and starting to feel into how you utilize fire, how you wield fire within your own energy system, okay? What's your relationship with fire? What's your relationship with fire? What's your relationship with intensity? Is there an addiction to intensity, or is there a like a repulsion to intensity? Because those are both kind of examples of being out of relationship with fire. And because I'm picking up on this kind of addictive, compulsive quality, I think there's something here. Yeah. Which is why the coffee thing was a good example. That was a great example of like my addiction to intensity, which came out of not being in true relationship with fire. Fire is all about taking action and moving towards that which has true heart and meaning. And what had true heart and meaning for me? Singing, right? That's a fire energy. That's a fiery, passionate energy. So to be in right relationship with fire, I just had to sing more, you know? So back to the simplicity of that, right? Simple solutions, big, hard ego entrapments, like hard, big, paralyzing ego entrapments. Really simple solutions to those ego entrapments, and isn't that just always the way? Yeah. Okay, crowning you. Ace of Swords reversed. Energetic downloads coming in if you allow it to. The reversal, what I'm getting is that it's entirely up to your allowance whether this comes in or not. And so you need to be open, especially at the crown. You need to be open to answers coming in from spirit, whether that's from nature, from fire, from the highest power. However you interact with spirit and the invisible world around you, make sure that you are open to receiving. If you're not, you'll miss it. You'll miss this download, and you'll have to kind of repeat the pattern and then cycle back in at a later time. If you do open up to the answers that you receive, the answers that you can receive from spirit this month, it's going to change your process a bit. It seems like there's a sense of like being able to quiet your whole energy system down a little bit so that you're more focused, so that you're more calm, so that you're more at peace, and so that you're a little less restless. You can be still and be here now in your body and not feel like you need to act as much, right? Just kind of being on that mountain. You're already on top of the mountain. You just need to open your eyes and look at the view, right? So I think this is really just about being on top of that mountain and looking at the view. If you can get yourself into that space, then you'll be open enough to receive the message coming down from spirit, okay? And that is not something I'm picking up on because it's unique to you. New circumstance. 10 of Swords reversed. Letting go. Needing to let go of something. And it's not like you have to make a sacrifice. This isn't sacrificial. This is really just about letting go of baggage. Are there parts of your trauma or your story or your pain or your baggage or disappointments, loss, etc., are there parts of your story that you are a little bit too identified with to let go of? I think this is kind of about being a victim. Who in you identifies with their pain, with their problems, with their suffering, with their trauma, with their baggage, in a way that doesn't allow you to let it go and write a new story for yourself? And I think it has to do with a sense of ego identification with being the victim, with being the person that had bad things happen to them, right? And that puts you in a place of powerlessness, of like, oh, my abuser did this, oh, my abuser did this, I can't protect myself, I'm not worthy, I'm not safe, right? So this victim mentality, it seems like you're clinging on to it in a way that's causing more pain than it could if you just let it go. Like if you just let go of the attachment to this source of pain and let go of your identification with the pain, then you can pull yourself out of a victim mentality, step back into your full empowerment, look at the pain and suffering from the past as it truly is, which is just shit happens because we're human, right? And then you can, step into a radical acceptance of what did happen and then let it go. You kind of have to fully accept it to let it go. Otherwise, we just kind of hold it at this resistance point where it can't move, but it's still in our field, right? And that's what kind of keeps us imprisoned in our own stories. So if you can just disidentify, radically accept that this pain happened to you, yes, but it's not a part of you, it's not who you are, and it certainly doesn't have to continue to be a part of your story, then you can just really fully walk away from what doesn't serve you, step into a completely new energy, accept yourself for who you truly are, which is ultimately just a facet of the divine, right? And then you can write your own story. You know, Ace of Swords is kind of that way, the sense of like writing your own story. And we have a cycle, a complete ending and beginning of a cycle here. We have Ten of Swords ending a cycle, Ace of Swords beginning a new one. So the choice here is to really let go of your burden, right? The stuff you don't need to carry with you into the future, and then step into this new sense of self, which is going to be an energetic download from the universe. So, you know, this could put you on a brand new path if you wanted it to. It's available to you. Okay, your energy this month, Capricorn, we have the Four of Wands reversed. Are you happy at home? And why not? It just feels like something's off at home. And I think a move maybe in the cards for some of you. Just walking away from a roommate situation or a family situation or just some sort of home life situation, a partner maybe that doesn't serve you, like moving. I don't necessarily feel like a breakup or anything, so maybe they're just, you know, a separation, or, you know, if this is a partner thing, you know, you could be living with your partner and then realize that maybe it would be better for your relationship if you just didn't live in the same house, but you still want to be together. Like, it could be something like that. Moving out of a family home, moving away from a roommate situation that wasn't working. That's all possible here. And if not in this month, because this is reversed, then just in the coming months, maybe. Within 4 months, within the next 4 months. And maybe you're just starting to figure that out now. I'd say 4 weeks to 4 months, and you're starting to figure that out now. That's what it is. I think you just need to create a shift in yourself. Sometimes we just outgrow an environment. And so maybe you've just outgrown your environment. And, you know, if you really are dealing with a big addictive pattern, sometimes just changing your environment is all you need to do to really change something. When you get yourself into a new space, sometimes, you know, you basically have a clean slate for you to establish new habits. And so if you do set the conscious intention to set those new habits when you get into a new space, often you're coming in with a much cleaner energy. I feel you just need to expand. You've hit a point where you can't grow any farther where you are, and so you'll just need to make that shift. Some of you, it may be more challenging because you're comfortable where you are, and some of you, the challenge is going to be in your exit strategy. If you're in a really difficult situation, what is the exit strategy, and can you really truly focus on it? Pull yourself away from the other things that distract you and really focus on the practical aspects of how are you going to get a move on. Okay, so that's your energy this month. This is what you're showing up with. You need to expand, you need to create a change, and you need to just be able to get yourself in the proper mindset to make the change that you need to make, which also means making sure that you know what you truly want and need. So back to the priestess, figure out what you truly need, okay, for yourself, for your life right now, for your own health and wellness. Not necessarily just like what you want because it's easy, right? But like what you truly need, what's truly nourishing for your soul moving forward. So you'll have to do some digging, okay? In your environment this month, we have the Ten of Cups reversed. Again, just are you happy at home? And if not, why? And what is needed to make a shift? I think some of you're not in as bad of a position as you think you are. No, that's not resonant. Actually, some of you are in a worse position than you think you are. No, that's not it either. Some of you are really, really focused on what isn't working, to your own detriment. And so this is actually an important point because it's really important to be cognizant of what isn't working in your life, right? I mean, you need to be aware of that, but it's it's common to, especially if we're in a place of like victimhood, right? Where we kind of are identifying consciously or unconsciously as a victim within ourselves, to not pick up our power, and then not be able to make the necessary changes we need to make to move forward and fix what isn't working. And so it's like there's this focus on what isn't working, right? There's this conscious awareness of what isn't working and a total inability to change it. And then what ends up happening is, or just a perceived inability to change it. And then what happens is you just start to fester. You start to fester in the stagnation and identify with the stagnation. And then suddenly that's where you live because you're identified with it, right? And so you don't know how to leave the stagnation, because to leave the stagnation would require an ego death, which means you have to face your fear of death, right? Ten of Swords, ego death. So you have to let go of some of the things that you've identified with. And you need to let go of those things in order to pull yourself out of the stagnation, in order to even see that there's other options available to you, right? When we get really stuck, it's normalized. It's hard for us to see out of the fog. And the priestess is saying that if things were previously unclear to you, they are crystallizing now. So you are aware of your situation, right? So the important thing here is to step out of blame, shame, and judgment, and to be like, okay, I am here because this is where I am. These are the choices that I've made based on the trauma that I have. I've done what I needed to do to survive. I have survived. I'm here now. Congratulations to myself for making it. I've made it another day. That's amazing. Now I'm going to take ownership. I'm going to step out of victimhood. I'm going to step into my true power. I'm going to step into my true spiritual adulthood, and I'm going to make the necessary changes and get myself out of this stagnation because only I can do it, right? That's the shift you need to make. You need to step back into your power, ultimately. And the only way to step into your power is to radically accept where you are without blaming yourself. And that's the really hard thing. If you're in shame, you're blocked, right? If you're in guilt, you're blocked. If you are in fear, you're blocked. If you are in judgment of yourself, you're blocked. If you are blaming yourself for your situation, you're blocked. So how can you take ownership without stepping into any of those categories that's going to block your flow, right? We need to bring flow into this situation to reduce the stagnation. And in order to bring flow in, two things have to happen. A, we have to let go of what's not serving us. B, we have to we have to be trusting enough to let in what we need, okay? And so that's a big deal. That's a big deal. And Ten of Cups is still a really good card, even in the reversal. It's saying that you do have access to the direct, to the abundance, to the happiness, to the flow. And it's just a mindset shift. You have free will. This is the card. This is about you, right? You can make this go direct anytime. But it's showing up in the reversal because more than half of you, this is the choice that you're making. You're choosing not to see what is working. You're choosing to look at what isn't working to such an extent, to such an extreme that it can't be changed, right? So get back into that balance, get back into the dynamic balance of fire. The fire says, I see exactly what needs to happen, and I'm going to make it happen, right? And so I admire the conscious awareness of what's going on, of what's not working, because, you know, if we're avoidant of what isn't working in the first place, that's a problem too. So, you know, you're not there, you're past there, you are aware. And that self-awareness is, I think, the biggest hurdle. Now, we just need to get you out of identification with what isn't working so that you can just make the shift necessary, right? You can just take ownership of your life and change lanes and get back into your flow and be who you are without shame, right? Okay. Hopes and fears. Princess of Wands, Page of Wands in a classic deck, yeah. This is about taking action. This is about the next step, and then maybe the step after that, and maybe the step after that, right? So if you're feeling overwhelmed, pull back. What I do when I have a lot of things to figure out, a lot of decisions to make, and a lot on my plate, you know, is I make a list, I'll take some time to make a big-ass list and look at my whole situation, but then I will only isolate one thing at a time and just do one thing a day until I get to my goal. If it's something that is really energy intensive because I'm worried about it or afraid or taking a new big risk, you know, something big that kind of makes it hard for me to do what would otherwise be maybe simple tasks or whatever. You know, it's like if I have to do government paperwork, if I have to do any kind of bureaucracy, taxes, whatever, I have to do like a tiny little thing a day because otherwise I won't do it because it will be too big. if I sit down and do my taxes, if I make a plan to sit down and do my taxes in one day, I'm not going to do it because it's going to intimidate me. And so I'm going to push it to the side and I'm going to keep procrastinating it. I'm going to keep procrastinating. I'm going to keep procrastinating and keep pushing it out, right? Keep delaying, keep it on the edge of my consciousness so that I'm nice and stressed out about it and can see it, but don't do anything about it, right? And that is such a drain on my energy. Having things that you need to do that you haven't done yet that you keep pushing back is such a drain on your energy because all of those things are taking up space in your field, right? They're basically a part of you. They're an extension of yourself. And so when you don't take care of it, it just stays there. And then because you're Capricorn, the more you guilt and shame yourself about not taking care of it, the more energy that you are basically wasting. Because you're putting all of your energy into shaming and guilting and blaming and not doing it. And now we're sitting on this pile of shit, right? That keeps perpetuating itself because of all the blame and shame you're adding to the pile of it, right? Right. So let go of the pile. Let go of the pile. Stop identifying. Just say, this is the situation and I need to figure out how to solve it. And that means working with what is. And that means working with all of your blocks, all of your trauma, all of your fears, all of your uncertainties, all of the things that have, created the situation in the first place to make it what it is, It's like you have to be able to accept those things and move around them. So me, if I know that I have a lot of anxiety about government paperwork and I try to sit down for an entire day and do a bunch of government paperwork, I am shooting myself in the foot because I know myself better than that, right? But if I just do a little bit, if I just do one section, I say today, I'm just going to do this section of the paperwork, right? Then after 10 days, it's finally done. It only took me 10 days. I did a little bit each day, so it never felt like I wasn't doing enough or was procrastinating or whatever. And now it's done and I can breathe because that baggage is off me. So this is saying you need to take action. You need to take action and you need to not put so much pressure on yourself to take action that you don't take action. Okay, so what's one little tiny thing that you can do? What's that first step? Just get off the starting block. Just take that first step towards whatever this goal is and do that first step and reward yourself handsomely. I don't care if the reward is like 10 times better than the little step you took. I want you to feel so fulfilled in the step that you take in whatever way that you require that you then feel motivated to take the next step, right? This isn't about punishment. This is not about punishment of what you haven't done yet. This is about reward for every tiny little thing that you do, because every single thing that you do, especially if it's hard for you because of trauma or whatever, is a major, major success. It is so hard to do anything when you're stuck. And getting out of that stagnation, like just getting off the starting block is always the hardest part. Just getting that momentum going, getting that fire started is the hardest part. Once the fire is on, once the flame is being kindled, it's a lot easier to maintain because momentum by nature kind of pushes itself at a certain point. But if you have no momentum, it's sheer force of will gets you off that first push, right? And I just suggest that you be clever. What do you know of yourself, and what can you do to ease yourself into doing that thing that you're afraid to do? Okay, so that's that. Because I really think after that first step, it's going to be easier, but you need to cut yourself some slack. Because if you don't give yourself the slack, you won't do it. If you put too much pressure on yourself, you won't do it. And also if you're just being avoidant and getting lost and not dealing with what you truly need, you won't be dealing with it either. So, this is a big reading in terms of this is just hard truth. And I feel like I'm delivering it a certain way because I'm also talking to myself. So I don't want you to feel like I think that you failed, because I don't think you failed. I think that life is hard, and it's harder if we put unnecessary pressure on ourselves. Life is really hard if we blame, shame, or judge ourselves. Life is really hard if we identify as a victim. Life is really hard when we find ourselves in stagnation and we come by it honestly, but it is our jobs to get ourselves out. And you're Capricorn, you can do whatever you put your mind to, you can do whatever you focus on. So do it for yourself, because you deserve to be happy. It's not about the goal or the success or how people see you. It's about how you see yourself. It's about how you feel about yourself when you wake up and go to bed. It's about a day in your life generally being abundant and peaceful and happy for you, right? It's about nothing but your own internal happiness. So that's all. Okay, outcome. The Empress reversed. Sorry if you can hear that. That's just my rabbit drinking water. This is coming to a like the outcome of this cycle is coming to a place where you feel so inherently abundant within yourself that you're able to just start to manifest it outward on the screen of space, and then the universe will bring abundance to you in the 3D world. That always takes longer because dense matter is slower moving. So we're always, a step or two ahead of our manifestations. So that's why this is in reverse. This is saying you are going to reach a place towards the end of the month if you do this work where you recognize that you have it all within you, that you do have all the fertile soil in the world, that you have all the nice, fresh, clean rain in the world that's going to fill that soil with so much nutrients that plants just sprout out of that soil, and that it's all within you. This is just having the ultimate power to create what you want from your life. I mean, the Empress is just the pinnacle of abundance. She is that perfect dynamic balance of water and earth that just creates that perfect garden. Add a little sun with that fire, right? And what's missing? Nothing. Add a little air, inspiration from spirit. Add in your breath, be here now. And then you've got it all. You've got it all, right? Magician, upright, master manifester, has total mastery and control of all of the elements and how they fuse together to create anything that the magician desires. The Empress, kind of as as a facet of that, has the ability to grow anything, right? So if this is magic, in an alchemy sense, this is magic in a miracle of life sense. Like, isn't it incredible that water falls on soil and the plants grow? Like, isn't it wonderful? Isn't it incredible that we can eat fruit and eat, berries and berries and fruit, eat berries, eat nuts, eat, protein, eat whatever, and sustain ourselves and be able to live this lifetime? Isn't it amazing that we have these bodies that can sense things and feel things and experience things and do things and desire things in the first place and fear things? Like, the fact that we're alive is incredible, and the Empress is kind of this archetypal mother. She's a good, archetype for the earth itself, where it's just like, everything on this planet has the perfect ingredients to sustain life, and without it we wouldn't be here. And that's the kind of gratitude that opens us up instead of blocking us. That is the kind of gratitude that allows us to tap into that abundant earth energy within ourselves and give ourselves what we need and want and love. And that's the kind of abundance that opens us up to reciprocity, so that we feel like we can truly serve others while honoring our natural threshold and then receive things in return, right? This interdependency, this even exchange of love and service and creation and skill. So at the end of this month, who are you and what are you capable of? And the answer should be whoever I want to be and anything I want to do, right? I am whoever I want to be. I'm capable of anything that I put my mind to. This is the mindset shift that ideally will occur once you really deeply give that wounded part of you what it truly needs, because I think that seems to be what's really blocking your manifestation here. We've got this magus, this feeling of being out of control, giving that fear of being out of control what it really needs to feel stable. And of course, the Empress is a very stable force. I mean, this is earth energy. You're earth, you're Capricorn, you need stability. Something else was coming in. Yeah, I mean, what's the opposite of being out of control? It's not being in control necessarily. It's having everything you need. That's the opposite of being out of control. If you have everything you need, what is there to fear? If you've got food on your plate every day, if you've got the love that you need to feel inspired and nurtured, if you've got the support from others that you need, if you've got clean water, if you've got access to the resources and tools that you need to do the things that you enjoy doing, and you've got a sense of protection, of feeling like you and your resources and food and water and your people are safe enough that you can not be on hyper alert, right? Like that is that's the Empress energy. That's living in true abundance so that you don't have to live in fear. Living in true abundance so that you not only don't have to feel out of control, but you can relinquish some of your control to spirit without giving all your power away. When we give our power away, we are out of control because we're giving our power to old stories that don't even exist anymore, right? Like this energy is done. You survived it. Now you just need to heal what's left so that you can do what you came here to do. And maybe that's just being who you are. Maybe it's something else. I doubt it. So, who are you? Are you the Empress by the end of the month? Yes. Okay, that's all I have for you, Capricorn. That was intense. Thanks for sticking it out with me. I love you guys. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see the next video, and I will see you in June. Thank you. If you'd like to schedule something with me in the box below, you can do so, and we can do some, sorry about my language today. I'm trying to push it all out. We can do some wounded child work if you would like and kind of get a sense of how these energies are playing out in your life, and I'd love to meet you. Okay, see you in June. Bye, guys.